before we can really dive into voting methods, we need to figure out how we tally and keep track of all the votes that we're collecting from the people that are voting. Let's take a look in this video at how we do that. So the way that we're going to collect ballots and collect votes is through a thing called a preference ballot. So it's a ballot where the voter ranks their choices in order of their preference, right? So we're talking about someone's going to pick what they think is their first choice, their second choice, their third choice, and that's what's collected by the people doing the counting, okay? So a couple of things here. So I just want to kind of make a note of this. So, ballots will look like first choice, second choice, third choice, or more, right? And, people will list the names of their top ranked choices. But I want to make an assumption here about our choices, okay? So when people vote, the order of their preferences doesn't change. In other words, let's suppose that your first choice for candy was Kit Kat. And let's suppose that your second choice for candy was Snickers. And your third choice was M&Ms. So what I mean by your preferences won't change is that let's suppose that you go to the store, these are the choices of how you wanted to choose which candy you're going to buy, and they're out of Kit Kats, right? So if they were out of Kit Kats and there were no Kit Kats available, say they're not available now, what happens to your choices, right? So theoretically, nothing changes. You're still going to prefer Snickers over M&Ms. So this tells me that now this is the new first choice, and then my M&Ms will become my new second choice. That's what we mean by the preferences don't change, okay? And so what we do is we're going to go ahead and grab all these ballots where people wrote their first, second, third choice on them. We're going to count them up, and we'll express the results in what we call a preference schedule or a preference table. And that's what we have down here. So in a preference schedule for folks that were voting on candies, right? I want to interpret this here. So we have our first choices, second choice, third choices, but then we also have the number of voters, and this is the number of voters that voted that particular way. So in other words, this 15 up here, that's interpreted as 15 people voted Kit Kat as the first choice, with Snickers as the second choice, and M&M's third. Right? That's how many people, if they were to write their ballot out, that's what they would have on their piece of paper, right? So these 15 people all have the same type of preference, right? But maybe let's grab these 3 people over here, right? So with these 3 people, they voted. So we have 3 people voted to have M&M's first, Snickers second, and Kit Kat's third. Maybe they just don't like those wafers. I don't know. Okay. So all we're doing is counting how many of each type of piece of paper, right? How many each type of these ballots were counted. And what we'll do is we'll count these in very different ways over the next couple of methods as we learn these methods. So just kind of hang out. We'll see how these work when we get to some examples, and then we'll be using these tables kind of again and again. So you become very familiar with them over time.